Today's international conference is building a powerful personal brand in the digital age using storytelling. The college Sri Kumar Swami College Ausa is affiliated to Swami Ramananda Tirth Marathwada University Nanded. The college undertakes number of innovative activities for the students, teachers, researchers, academicians, intellectuals, knowledge seekers, and all stakeholders. And these activities are taking place very successfully under the academic leadership of Honorable Principal Dr. M. Bedkar sir, who is also chief organizer and chairperson of webinar series and international conferences and today's international e-conference. On behalf of the organizing committee of International E-Conference and Sri Kumar Swami College Ausa, I welcome you, sir, as the presiding authority of today's International E-Conference. I am very happy to inform all the delegates and participants that today among us we have the honorable dignitary, chief guest and keynote speaker, Honorable Janet Thomas Calaba ma'am from Cross River State, Nigeria. On behalf of the organizing committee, International E-Conference and Sri Kumar Swami College Ausa, I heartily welcome you, ma'am, as the chief guest and keynote speaker. But before the beginning of the keynote speech, I would like to invite Honorable Principal for his opening remarks. Please, sir. Welcome. Thank you, sir, for your opening remarks. I know very well that all participants and delegates are very eager to listen keynote speech on the topic building a powerful personal brand in the digital age using storytelling. So I welcome you, ma'am, for your presentation and keynote address. Please, ma'am.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? All right. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be given this opportunity to be able to talk to you. Thank you so much, Chief Principal. I'm so grateful. For all the professors and the senior colleagues that are present on this meeting, I am so grateful for this opportunity. I hope that the few minutes that I'm going to spend with you will be well worth it, as I'm hoping to impart knowledge and to have generally a very good conversation with you today. So we're talking about building personal brands in the digital age using storytelling. Most of us have already heard what personal branding is, and I'm sure it is not a new term. Personal branding, whether you realize it or not, you already have one, and you already and you already are building one. Now, it is a perception of what others think about you, whether you are in the room or when you are not in the room. How do they see you? How do they perceive you? It is actually your reputation out there. And now we are going to be talking about how to use storytelling to build this reputation, to shape it in such a way that it's going to favor you and also favor your brand. Now, what do you need your personal brand to accomplish for you? Why should you build a personal brand? This is a question that you need to ask yourself even before you start building one. Some build personal brand for different purposes. I, for one, I build my personal brand in order to be perceived as an authority in the medical world. Now, whatever you do, you have your reason for building your personal brand. If you're a teacher or a professor, why do you need to build your personal brand? You might be building it in order to help you with promotion. You want to tell people about how good you are or how great you are so that it can help you advance in your career. Or maybe you want to start a business and you want to, tell stories surrounding that business in order to make people buy into the ideas that you're sharing. So there are many reasons why people choose to build their personal brand. But the most important thing is for you to know the reason why you need a personal brand and to write it down. When you write it down, it helps you articulate your thoughts and also help you, you keep refining and refining and refining that thought until you're able to come up with something that other people can, buy into the vision. So, and also you need to be clear on what you want to do, who you want to do it for, why, and when you want to do it. If you're building a personal brand, you can't just leave it to chance. You need to know what you're actually offering. What does your personal brand offer? Now, as a doctor, I'm building my personal brand on LinkedIn in order to be visible, establish my authority in the medical field, and also to help other doctors, gain visibility on LinkedIn. So that is actually the brand that I am building on LinkedIn. And now you know how to you ask yourself question, why do I need storytelling in order to help me achieve this? Now, when I was growing up, my father, my dad, he had a small radio, and every Friday nights by 8 p.m. we would gather around the radio and listen to stories. There was this particular radio station that tells stories about all these fairy tale stories, the tortoise, the lion, and all those stuff. They use those stories to teach us children about the principles of life, the benefits of having a good character, and the rest of it. So because of those stories, we never forget those moral lessons they try to teach us. Now, fast forward to when I was able to get admission to study in the university, in a higher institution, my favorite courses and my favorite lecturer were those who uses stories to pass their messages across. Now, if you're a teacher in this room, you can relate with this. Your students may actually forget every other thing you said in a class, but they will never forget the stories that you tell. Why? Because stories are memorable. Stories help you remember things. It builds emotional connection between you and the person who is listening to you. People may forget your presentation, people may forget the facts, but they will never forget the stories that you tell during your presentation. So that is why good public speakers, they always try to use storytelling in order to, build on whatever message that they want to pass to the audience. Now, you've heard the saying that a picture is worth 1,000 words, but a story is worth 1,000,000 words. Storytelling is one of the most powerful ways to put your ideas into the world. This time, it's no longer about what you sell, it's no longer about what you do, it's actually about the stories that you tell concerning what you do, because that is exactly what people are going to remember. Okay, you need to learn how to share your stories in order to build your personal brand. There are many kinds of stories that you can share. You can share your inspirational stories, you can share your transformational stories, you can share stories about where you used to be and where you are now. You can even share stories about the people that you have helped, okay, and the results that they got as a result of working with you. Now, we are going to go back and now talk about the principles of brand storytelling, or the principles of using stories to build your personal brand. Number one is that you need to know your stories. It's not just enough to come out and start sharing stories. You need to know the kind of stories that you can share. Okay, some people, they don't even know their stories. You need to know your stories. It's very important. Okay, tell stories from scars and not from wounds. Now, what do I mean by scars? By scars, I mean SCARS. That is scars. You need to tell stories that you have overcome, stories of transformation. This is what I used to struggle with, but right now I'm in the place where I have found a solution to it. All right. So you are telling stories from your scars. Now, those are your transformational stories. Now, don't tell stories from your wound. Your wound are still, those stories or things that you're still struggling with. If you're someone who struggles with procrastination, you haven't found a solution to it yet. Telling such stories, you can't tell it with confidence because you are still in that problem. You're still struggling with that. You're still dealing with that, okay? And I've seen people who share stories, their stories, and then they later regret why they share the story. They start thinking of, what will people think of me now? They'll see me as a lesser person. They'll think I'm not longer serious, or they start having doubts about the stories that they have shared. So that is why it's very important for you to share stories that you're very comfortable sharing. And by that I mean stories of transformation of your own personal life, stories of scars that you have been able to overcome. Now, the next thing is for you to know the audience that you're sharing these stories with. Okay. Your audience may not be able to relate with all kinds of stories. Now, if I'm trying to reach out to doctors like me and I'm trying to help them build their own personal brands online on social media, I need to be able to know these are my audience. My audience are people in the medical profession. And so I need to tell them my story in such a way that they will relate to it. Now, what are the struggles that they are actually facing as doctors? Number one is doctors are very busy people. They don't have time to share their stories, and sometimes when they want to share their stories, they share it in such a way that people who are not in the medical line may find it difficult to relate with the stories. So this is how you know your audience, and then it begins to help me. I share stories of how I was able, or how I am able to build my personal brand despite my tight or my busy schedule. I share stories of how I am able to break down my posts in such a way that anybody can understand what I'm talking about. So by making my stories relatable to these people, they are able to understand what I'm saying. They're able to appreciate the transformation that I have undergone. They're able to see themselves getting that same solution if they work with me. So you need to know your audience and the people that you're telling these stories for and to. And you need to know what you want to achieve with your stories. Some storytelling are meant to build trust. They are meant to build the know, like, and the trust factor for people to know you, to trust you, and to like you. And for others, they are meant to convert, sell stuff. So you need to know your storytelling, what you want to achieve through it. Now, if you're a teacher and you want to be known as someone who uses storytelling in order to help your audience understand the subject matter that you're teaching, you have to be able to relate that story that you are telling to the subject that you are teaching. You don't just tell abstract stories for the sake of telling stories. You need to learn how to relate them in order to achieve your goal. And you need to learn how to use familiar language that your audience understand. Like a doctor, sometimes when I want to talk to my audience who are the non-medical people, I try to break it down. Instead of using big words like insomnia, I tell them inability to sleep. Instead of using big words, talking about the histology, part of physiology and the rest, I try to break it down, say these are the side effects, these are the benefits of doing this and doing that. So it helps them to relate. Okay. Now you need to be consistent with your messaging. Don't be that person that you are talking about. You want to build a brand, maybe as a professor, as a teacher, and but your messages are not consistent. You keep talking about different things and you keep confusing your audience. So you need to be consistent about your message. If I am someone that someone that my audience, I would like to reach out to doctors in order to help them build their personal brands, my messages have to be consistent. I can't keep posting memes. I can't come up and start posting comedy or something like that. They are actually distracting from my message. So you need to be consistent with your messaging. That is a fact. Then we need to talk about how to write how to get your mission statements. You need to talk about how to coordinate your mission statement. Now, your mission statement will consist of who you are, what you're doing, and the people that you're doing it for. All right. Now, who am I? I'm a medical doctor. What am I doing? I'm building my personal brand. Who am I building this for? I'm trying to reach out to fellow doctors and colleagues in the medical field who also want to build their personal brand but do not know how to go about it. So by crafting this mission statement, it helps you know how to go about building your personal brand. It helps you know how to, present yourself. Now, personal branding, like is not just all about the online space. You have the offline, you have the online space. Everybody, the way your colleagues perceive you and all that is, like I said in the beginning, is actually a part of your personal branding, the way you brand yourself as whatever you are. So that is for the offline one. And whatever you do, whether online or offline, you need to be consistent about it. Now, this is a digital age. No matter what you are doing, whether you're a teacher, you're a professor, you're a doctor, you're a nurse, you are whatever you are, this is the right time to bring yourself to make yourself visible in the online space. People need to know you. People need to learn what you do. People need to benefit from the knowledge that you share. So it's time to take your social media presence very serious. Bring that branding that you have built offline, bring it online so that other people can see it and actually benefit from what you do. Now, for you to bring it online, you need to know where your audience are and actually who your audience are. All right. Now, if your audience are professional people like myself, then I know that the platform that is most suitable for me will be on LinkedIn because that is where I'm going to be able to find my audience. Now, if you're someone who is into maybe you are a chef, you cook, you share your food online and all that, you know that your audience are actually going to be on Instagram. Now, some of you, your audience may be on Facebook. So you need to know where your audience are so that you can be able to use that platform to effectively reach out to them. And when you do, you need to be consistent on the platform. I do not want you to be someone who goes about, dissipating your energy on several platforms at the same time. It's going to wear you out. Remember, you're a professional, you don't have so much time, but the little time you have, you want to use it to make impact maximally using a particular platform. So the essence of today's webinar or today's conference is to tell you that your personal stories is actually very essential to building your personal brand. People want to know you. People want to hear your stories. People want to know what is it that you actually do. You understand? I want to know where you started from, the process that it took you, and now that you're here, how actually did you get here? And the journey too that they have to take, because as they are seeing you sharing stories of how you started, they also see themselves in your shoes, and they believe that if you are able to go through this, they themselves they're able to go through that and see and get the same result that you were able to get. So that is the power of storytelling. It helps you connect. It's easier to build your brand using storytelling because every one of us, we are storytellers. Right from when we got into the world, we are storytellers. And even as we are growing up, your parents, everybody in the world, you have interacted with them one way or the other using stories. So it's not actually hard for you to tell your stories. But the reason why you need to listen to what I'm saying is that there are stories that you specifically need for building your personal brand at a particular time. It's not just every story that you should share. I've said something about sharing stories from your scars and not from your wound. Your scars are the transformational stories or the transformational journey that you have been able to go through, and the wounds are things that you're struggling with. It's not like you can't be vulnerable and share, those challenges that you're still going. If you want to share it, there's still a way to share it in such a way that it will not, end up coming to bite you at the end, or you won't end up regretting sharing it. So, I believe that with these few points of mine, I've been able to convince you that it is possible, very possible, to build your personal brand using the power of storytelling wherever you are, even at this moment. Before I leave, I would like to say one final thing. You don't have to be an expert to build your personal brand. Like I said before from the beginning, you already have a personal brand. In fact, consciously or unconsciously, you have built a personal brand. But you need to consciously, adjust that personal brand, shaping it with the power of storytelling. And it all begins with the stories that you are willing to share. And it all begins with knowing the kind of stories that you should be sharing and the kind that you should not be sharing. There are different kinds of stories that you should share: personal stories of transformation, inspirational stories, stories of the different stories. If you're someone that is into product selling, stories that your products can help. I don't know if there are people here that are into business, businessmen and women here. So there are stories that you can share about your products, not telling them, okay, if you are selling this pen, not just sharing stories of how this pen is able to help you write well and all that, or this pen is made up of a cover, this one and that one. You can share stories about the benefits, not the features of this pen. The benefits are it helps you put memories down, it helps you do this, it helps you do that. Okay, you can also share behind the scene stories of how this pen was produced, and that is where you come up with the challenges, with the joys, with the journeys of production of this pen. There are so many behind the scene stories that you can tell about whatever it is you do. So many types of stories, and I may not have time to start talking about all of them here. But if you're someone that is really serious about building your personal brand with stories, then there are so many free resources on that you can use to help build your personal stories. You can go on YouTube, research how to build personal brand using stories. You can go on even LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a gold mine that so many people, underrate. You can go on LinkedIn. You can go on Google. You can ask so many things, so many ways to help you do that. You can also reach out to those of us that are already in the space. Ask us how we are doing this, even if it involves buying courses, getting into master classes, participating in boot camps and the rest. And for someone like me, I'm always ready to share my knowledge, even free of charge, if you are willing to listen. So there are so many ways you can achieve that. So thank you. I think I'm going to stop right here to take questions. If you have any questions to ask, please go ahead and ask, so that we can wrap up with this session.
Thank you, ma'am, for your elaborate speech on the topic building a powerful personal brand in the digital age using storytelling. You have cleared all the aspects and factors which are related with the topic and the importance of personal branding in today's era or modern era. Now, I would like to uh, request participants for their questions, opinions, views on the topic. Please.
Good evening to all. I am audible.
Welcome, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, respected Principal Dr. M. Bedkar, sir, and organizing all committee members. Today's resource person, respected Jinat Ma'am, she explained a very wonderful explanation, and it is a very excellent presentation. It is very useful, informative, and knowledgeable session. Thank you, Jinat Ma'am, and Dr. Bedkar, sir, and Prashant, sir, organizing committee members. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Now, is there anybody else with any more question? Please. I think Dr. Swanand Shukla, sir, please.
Hello, Principal Dr. Bedkar, sir, Prakash, sir, and Jinit, ma'am. Wonderful presentation you have made. And I think storytelling is really very important to build our own personality and definitely the reflection in the society. So it does a wonderful job. And I belong to medical field. Yes, definitely in our field also we are having case presentations, and it is like in the form of story only. The patient has come in this way and that way, and how to diagnose the patient and what kind of treatment you can think of. So I think that is also a kind of a storytelling only, because I'm expressing my patient, I'm talking about my patient. And I think in a business also, testament, the people are coming with testament. They are giving some views, when I use this, what has happened. So that is also one kind of a storytelling. So what do you think about this? Are they same or they are different? And very correctly, you have pointed out that storytelling is something you are expressing your life story, or you are talking about your war and you start from your scar, and then you have talked about, wonderfully explain all these aspects. And I think the emotion of a man, is associated with the storytelling, and it gives a real reflection and fragrance of the human being. So storytelling is wonderful thing. Instead of just telling something, who am I, and telling like this. But if you can, I think our grandma and grandpa used to tell a story, and we realize what kind of great personality they are. So I think that is the strength of storytelling. So that is how we had to take it. But I want to know that, when we are doing a case study or the presentation of any particular patient in front of the medical students, as well as the businessman is doing testament, to the other people to know what kind of product they are and what kind of work they are doing. So can we consider that as a storytelling? Thank you.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for your contribution. That is very wonderful. That was very wonderful. Thank you so much, sir. Yes, it's a form of storytelling. In business, the kind of stories that apart from the stories about other types of stories, there is also customer stories, which is like the testimonial of the people that have used the product and how it was able to serve them. It's a powerful story. When you tell a person this is what my product does, the person might be skeptical in the first place. But when someone else is now telling you about products, oh, I use this product and it's helped me achieve so and so, I tend to believe the person more, because this is another human being like me who has used the product and it worked. So I believe that if it worked for Mr. A, it's going to work for me as well. So it's very important. Now, in presentation, I mean, when you say presentation, I want to assume that you're teaching medical students, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So I'm going to answer this question using a story. So when I was in medical school, we had a lecturer who was trying to teach us about fracture of the bones of the lower limb, fracture of the tibia and fibula and the rest, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And
Yeah,
then,
correct,
you know
correct.
how it was. Yes, it was a long lecture and the students were tired. Everybody wanted to go home. But, he started with a story and he said, when he was younger, he worked in Saudi Arabia. And, in Saudi Arabia, as a male doctor, you have to be very careful with your female patients. So he had this patient that came in with her brother and her father, and they were in the consulting room, and he was asking the lady, "How did you sustain this fracture? This is a very rare kind of fracture. You don't sustain it just like that." And the lady she was not opening up because her father and her brother were there, and the doctor could not ask the father to leave because you cannot just stay in the room alone with a female patient. So he said, okay, you know what will happen, and he just, that was how the consultation
It's
ended.
an
And he
ethical
told
issue out there. It's a
yes,
ethical
and
issue.
is a very critical issue, yes. So he told the brother, why don't you give me your phone number? I will call you later to ask how your sister is doing. The brother said, yes, just take my phone number. You can call my sister later using my number. So the brother gave the number, and they left. So later on that day, maybe at night or some hours later, and the doctor called the brother and say, hey, how are you doing? I would like to speak with my patient, who is your sister. I'd like to ask her, some more questions about the fracture. So the brother said, yes, 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 and went to the sister and gave her the phone. And then the doctor began to ask the sister, what happened? Tell me the truth. How did you sustain this fracture? And the sister said, oh, doctor, everything I told you in the room was a lie. It was not true. This is exactly how I sustained this fracture. I wanted to go to a party, And I knew that if I asked my dad to give me permission to go to the party, he would not allow me. So this is what I have. So this is what happened. I planned with my brother, to jump the fence to go for my party. So the time for the party reached. My brother helped me. I jumped the fence, went to the party. But then when I was coming back, unfortunately, I was not able to jump the fence again into the house. So on the process of jumping the fence, I fell and broke my leg. So that was how I sustained the fracture. So it now made more sense to the doctor because the story that was told in the consultation room is quite different from the one that he heard over the phone. So with that story, it helped us know, oh, remember that the professor was teaching us about fracture of the bones of the lower limb. And he was telling us this is the kind of fracture that is not common. So you see how uncommon it was to sustain that fracture. You had to jump over the fence. Now, it's not every day that you see people jumping over fences. So it is a very, very rare kind of fracture. Now, with that, after how many months or years, I'm now practicing as a doctor, I still remember that story. I still remember. I may not remember, the different kinds of fractures there are. I may not remember other things, but I still remember this story. And each time I see, oh, this particular fracture is rare, tell me what happened. Because my professor was able to use storytelling to pass the message across. So I think, I believe this has answered the question, right?
Thank you very much. Try to describe with the story, they remember the whole aspect of the medical learning. So that is a great thing, and you have really very, very well expressed it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Please. Any more question? Your opinion, your observations are welcome. Please. I think there is no any question. Dr. Devidas Kendre sir has appreciated the keynote speech by the honorable speaker and chief guest. Dr. Swanand Shukla sir has very well made the gist of the keynote speech and encapsulated it for the participants and delegates. And honorable chief guest has given very useful illustrations which can be remembered and we can have the benefit of it in our brand making. Now, after this wonderful keynote speech and useful discussion session, again it is time for all of us to listen the closing remarks of chief organizer and chairperson of this international e-conference, Honorable Dr. Bedkar sir. Please.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Now I am here for vote of thanks. The organizing committee of International Conference and Sri Kumar Swami College Ausa in particular extends deepest sense of gratitude for accepting the invitation of our college and delivering very nice and inspiring lecture on the topic on personal brand making. This is very useful for us. So thank you, ma'am. I also thank all the participants and delegates for their contribution to make webinar series successful, and also international conferences for their appreciation, for their encouragement, and for their valuable time. Thank you, delegates. I also thank Chief Organizer, Honorable Principal Dr. M. Ambedkar, sir, who has brought all of us together from different corners of the globe and from different parts of the country for having intellectual discussion and enhancing our knowledge through the exchange of knowledge on different topics and subjects. So thank you, sir, on behalf of the organizing committee and the college for your contribution. And now at the end, I request participants do not forget to fill feedback link to have your certificates. And with the permission of chairperson, I declare here that today's conference is over. Thanks to all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Janet Madam, for the wonderful presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank
We
you.
are very happy to see you and listen your lecture. Thank you. Thank you.
Principal, sir, you said they should fill a form. Where is the form, sir? Okay. All right, sir. This will be fine. I'll share with you. Okay, I'll do just that. Yes, I have seen it, sir. Thank you.
It's not needed, madam, from your side to fill it up. Those who are participated from your country. Yes.
Okay. Yes, I can see one person here, Selena Didi. She's here. The rest, yes, Selena Didi. I can see her here. Who else is here from my end? Okay. The rest, I think I saw someone here before, but the person has left. Doctor, the name sounded Nigerian. Okay, no problem. Thank you. All right, sir.
क्या हाल है सोनू कुमार सर?
ठीक हूँ सर, आप ना बताएं कैसे हैं आप?
बस बहुत अच्छा प्रेजेंटेशन हुआ मैडम का।
मैम का लेक्चर में यूट्यूब पर मैंने सुना है। कल का भी सेशन बड़ा महत्वपूर्ण रहा था, लेकिन एक्चुअली कल मैं लेट से जुड़ पाया। लगता है कल का सेशन हो नहीं पाया, सॉरी।
हाँ सर, वो रिसोर्स पर्सन ज्वाइन नहीं हुए थे, कीनोट स्पीकर।
ओके, कोई बात नहीं, आज का सेशन भी महत्वपूर्ण रहा। सर फीडबैक लिंक अगर फिर से दोबारा सेंड कर देंगे तो मैं भर दूंगा सर, मैंने नहीं भरा है।